Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are here. This is Us is back this week, and so you know that means we got another reviewed episode for y'all. You're here with your girls from the Sotong Sessions, Delia and Jazz.
What up? What
And
up?
How you feel about this episode, Jazzy?
Better. It was better. Yeah, we're trending back upwards. As long as it's not Uncle Nicky's life story, I'm good.
True. I mean, we had a little bit of Uncle Nicky in there in this episode, but you know, it wasn't all him, which was good. Most of it, or I feel like the biggest piece of it was, you know, Beth and Tess. I feel like that was the stronger storyline of everything going on. And we had, you know, it was like everybody kind of came back for this episode. It was like, oh, these are the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Where do we start? Do we want to start at the flashbacks or?
Right. Yeah, let's start at the flashbacks. Because I feel like there's not a lot to talk about there, at least on my end. I'm thinking like it was cool to see, you know, I guess the relationship that Jack had with Miguel at the very beginning. And then, you know, they kind of tied it into the present where he, you know, especially when he was talking to Uncle Nicky and he was like, you know, it was 13 years after his death that we even got together.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how, and like, he's like, well, I don't have to justify myself to nobody. I don't have to blah, blah,
blah. You don't agree?
Like, okay, on the one hand, I agree. Okay, cool. I get it. It's your life. Y'all made y'all decision. But as a TV show, I'm like, why do we feel like this was okay? And like, what is the reasoning behind it? Like, why did you decide to make that her spouse for, you know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know. I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
I don't know. It reminds me of, I don't know if you saw the movie Raising Helen back in the day.
I did, yes.
But it's like, you know, you choose somebody that's like the person. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can rationalize in my mind is like Miguel and Jack were close friends. That means they had some kind of commonality.
True.
That attracted them as friends in the first place. So I guess maybe in the familiarity, I don't know. Like I'm not making excuses for Rebecca because I don't know. But yeah, it was just funny though watching Jack do the
oh my gosh,
do the fake proposal.
Yeah, recreating the carnival. I was like, y'all know that ring about to get stuck, right?
We all knew it. It's like, yo, don't even put that on your finger. Don't even play. But it was weird to watch knowing that like Jack is saying his proposal to Miguel and then they both end up marrying her. Like
that's it was awkward a little bit because I was like, I just don't. Miguel, like when you proposed to Rebecca, what were you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, what was that like? What was that process like? Like, part of me is curious, but then the other part of me doesn't really want to see it played out for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like that they gave us that flashback. I liked that the dad came in and Miguel kind of had his say in defense of Jack, you know, and like really speaking up for him as a good man. Because dad straight up was like, well, whatever, I'll just tolerate you because I know my daughter loves you, you know? So I thought that was interesting.
It makes me wonder, though. I wonder how Rebecca's parents felt when she remarried.
Right.
And especially given that scene, like the dad had already met Miguel through that situation, right? So I wonder what that was like.
And even when Jack passed, because we still don't even know, like we haven't seen any of that from her parents either, you know, like all of the flashbacks post Jack's death, we've never seen her get any support from family. Like they've never brought in her family to like be there to support her, to help her through any of that with 3 teenagers. So that I would be curious to see, like how they were involved in that post Jack's death piece.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was a good flashback.
I think, like, I mean, bringing it back to present day when Uncle Nicky and Miguel were talking, I was like, okay, Miguel got a little backbone. Like, he not playing.
Yeah.
He was just like, I liked that because up until now they played him as this character that's like not weak, but just,
Mhm.
he plays the background. But this time it was like, oh, you coming for me? All right, let me tell you something. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was cool. So
Yeah.
I
That
don't know.
leads me to believe that we're gonna. I mean, they've been saying it for 5 seasons, but it leads me to believe that we'll finally start to get some Miguel stuff, maybe towards the end of this season into
Mhm.
next season.
Yeah.
So, giving us a little bit more of that, which is cool. So yeah, in that present, so we've got Kevin and
Madison.
Madison. I cannot remember her name, yo.
Ever. I can't even. Them getting married and they're all over the tabloids. I'm like, it just,
They're on the tabloid next to Meghan Markle's face.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
womp womp, guys. Come on.
I
And okay. And then at the end, we see all his ex-girls picking up the magazine and like smiling like they're happy. Like, what was that?
I don't know. I don't know what that was. I think as far as him and Madison, I'm like, do they ever have a genuine, authentic interaction? Because when he's talking with the wedding planner or whoever she was and saying, oh, this is what we want to do, all this, and Madison's like, like, I wanted to smack her and be like, girl, just say what you want. Like, why are you, why?
Even when she told him about the trip with her dad and her mom to Japan and like how that made her feel really safe and loved. And then she's like, and there's this garden. He's like, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, we'll do that. And she's like, okay, just like he's like, yeah, of course. Like there's
Yeah, I'm not a fan. No chemistry. They're not honest with each other. Like, it just, they have no relate, like their relationship has no substance at all.
no, and that's why his character struggles with other characters on like that's why he is calling Randall. He's gonna email Randall to ask him to be his best man, sir.
I was like, boy, if you don't pick up the phone and call him, that was so dumb. If finally he did it, I was like, damn, like
Right. But then in the middle of that phone call, you want to talk about all the other issues. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, no, 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 not right now, not right now. We'll do it another time. It's like, Kevin.
at least they are. I think Kevin making the decision to fly out to see Randall to have that conversation in person, that was the first step that I've seen him take in like actually playing a part in wanting to fix the relationship and hear him out. I was like, finally Kevin did something. So I don't know, I'd be interested to see how that plays out next time. And just like, it's such a big conversation, and that's kind of what they alluded to in the next episode, is like, this ain't no shooting the breeze type of talk. Like, this is you're unpacking a lifetime of hurt and a perspective as a Black man to someone who is white. Like, that's not easy.
Yeah. And I did love the scene where where Randall was in the park and he's listening to all everybody else's story.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it was his story being told by multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're getting the flashbacks of him in different moments. And then, before he went, you had Beth be like, Randall, just listen,
Mm-hmm.
just don't try to take up all the space. And he's like, I'm an orator, but then he gets
That was so
there.
funny.
It's like, but Beth, I'm an orator.
Yeah.
Like we know Randall. But he gets there and it renders him speechless because he's never been in an environment, he's never been around people that are voicing everything that he feels internally. Like he's never had that.
Yep.
And I felt like that was like it was like a gut punch, but in a good way for
Yeah.
Randall, you
Yeah.
know, for him to finally get language to
Mm-hmm.
what he's feeling and to what he's experienced in his life, and then to know that other people have that experience and can help him process and get through that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a really powerful scene.
That was really cool. What did you think about Mama Beth and the Cheerins, more specifically? Oh, what's her name? I just lost it. The
Tess?
daughter, Tess.
Tess.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know me and Felicia Rashad. I love her. Love her, love her. Felicia Rashad, I love you.
Yep.
So anything she's in, I'm here for. And she just brings such like a grace and like she just brings everything to a higher level. You know, her conversations with Beth, and she's just like, you know, Beth, take it easy. I love that she calls her Bethany. I love that she's the only one that we hear, you know, call her Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I love that she has this very, it's an interesting dynamic, because typically, I guess you would think that the grandparent would be more, you know, critique more, you know, would have more critique on the situation and kind of be more old school, and you'd have to kind of walk your grandparents through the situation, and mom and dad would be the ones to be like, yes, and da da da. And it's
Mm-hmm.
flipped, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's the opposite in this way, where grandma is like, take, you know, don't go up there all hot and heavy, like, take your
Yep.
time, be all right, you know, let
Yep.
it go, you know. And I loved what she said about um having to let go, not just of like the dream of, you know, my daughter getting married and having boyfriends and walking down the aisle and all of that, but just even letting go the idea of who you think your child is going to be,
Yeah.
you know. And I think I was thinking about my own parents, and you know what they thought I would grow up to be, and you know what they thought our life was going to look like, and all of those moments as parents, you have to it is continuously letting go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent, I guess. Like, you think that this is how you're going to raise your kid, and then here comes the kid and it's not what you thought it was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
I
Especially
feel
for our generation, we've taken a lot of unconventional life choices and paths, you know, that our parents had no grid for, you know what I mean? So I'm just sure there's a lot of that in our own families, like that recalibrating, readjusting, and like not living off of your expectations that you have for your kid, you know?
And then just going into, you know, her trying to understand, you know, her daughter as who she is, you know, as opposed to like who she thought her daughter was, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And Tess is very headstrong, and Tess is like, she knows her mom is trying, and I think she's trying to give her space, but she's also a teenager, so she's kind of like, look, y'all just had to deal with it.
I get that, but you're not gonna talk to me crazy.
Oh
And
yes,
in front of company, you're not gonna call me. Nah,
which
nah,
is why
we
I'm
shutting
glad
that
that
down.
Beth walked into the room and said what she had to say first.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to ever call me names, not
Nope.
in public, not in private, not ever.
But you're not gonna be up in your room with a boy, girl, anybody with the door closed. Like, nah,
No.
we're not doing that either. So I
That's
don't.
Deja was like, wait, what? She up there with who? With the door closed?
Right. And then
She
Beth
came
was like,
downstairs
she
to
was like,
tell on her.
she's like, I have to go, I have to do something, right? That's not okay, right? That's breaking the rules. Is that breaking my rule? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, I
And
gotta
then
go.
Mama sees like, you didn't set any ground rules.
Nah,
And it's
son.
like, yo, you're right. Like, it's not okay. It doesn't matter.
Regardless, you getting the smackdown. I don't care who all up in there.
Right.
You getting the smackdown.
Yep.
But
But
yeah, I thought overall it was a pretty solid episode.
yeah. Yeah. I think, well, the one piece we didn't mention was like, you know, there was Toby and Kate and her starting the new job,
Oh
um,
yeah.
you know, at the school, and kind of having that kind of contentious relationship, I guess, with her boss or her co-teacher, whoever he was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then kind of starting to step into her own by helping this, little girl kind of sing her heart out. I
Mhm.
thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
It's not that instantaneous, but I mean, obviously, I know where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
Um, but then what I saw too with Kate and Toby, with Toby, his reluctance to tell Kate how he's feeling. And I
Mhm.
was like, ooh, what we doing, Toby?
Mhm.
Like that might or could lead to some issues, or maybe it could just be a moment and he decides to kind of either push past it or tell her later.
Mhm.
But we've seen historically with Toby, when he keeps things from Kate, things it doesn't go well.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. So I think that was the only other piece we didn't mention. But yeah, overall I feel like it was a solid episode. It wasn't like super great, but it also wasn't trash.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we shall see what happens next week.
Indeed.
Y'all let us know what you thought about this episode. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And we will see you here next week for the next reviewed episode of This Is Us. Bye, y'all. Until next time.